Swallowed star. Even though he was in the ancient god ruins, Luo Feng was very relaxed. As his core was within the Masha body, along with the living AI Babata and the other important things, his Earth-human body here had nothing to worry about. Even if I'm killed, I just have to waste some energy from the internal world to regenerate. Luo Feng closed his eyes. His consciousness was connected to the virtual universe via the quantum computer within his space ring. In a while, there'll be a space origin law class. I can't miss that. In a quiet and vast city more than 1 trillion km away. Within the city leader's 3-story mansion, a man lay in his armor in the training room, and the black-clothed Luo Feng stood beside him. With these 2 blood river crystals, it'll make my total haul since I left the ancient god ruins 100 already. Black-clothed Luo Feng immediately waved his hand and destroyed all the evidence. After which, he left without a trace and rushed into the sky, sitting in his automaton ship and flying in space above. Within the control room of the automaton ship, black-clothed Luo Feng sat in his sofa and laughed lightly. External simulation 100%. Immediately the scenery about changed. A wild and incredibly beautiful dream-like space image, below were the cloud levels of Blood River continent. Luo Feng, the previous 2 times you absorbed 30 crystals each. How many are you prepared for this time? The lights beside had formed an image of Babata. The little demon smiled happily as he looked at Luo Feng. I have prepared 25 for absorption. The black-clothed Luo Feng said. Ah, in the ancient god ruins, the golden horned beast absorbed 15. Plus the 30 crystals it had absorbed twice before. Right now it has absorbed a total of 75 crystals. Plus the 25 today, it'll make a perfect 100. The little demon Babata laughed weirdly. That intense pain, can you take it? Black-clothed Luo Feng frowned. Pain. Right. Back then during the 10th crystal, it was so painful, even the golden horned beast couldn't help but crash about. At that same time, the other 2 bodies too suffered intense pain, enough to make one's soul leap out. The 11th crystal however, didn't hurt as much and was in fact much weaker than the 10th. Today, will be number 76 to 100. I guess the pain will exceed the previous few times. The little demon warned, if you cannot take it, we can split them into a few days. No problem. Black-clothed Luo Feng's eyes were focused. This little pain, if I can't even take this, how can I even think of becoming undying? This isn't just a little pain. If your willpower wasn't strong, your soul would have long crumbled. Babata warned. I've never heard of one's soul crumbling from absorbing blood river crystals. Black-clothed Luo Feng said softly, if I can't take it, I will probably end up fainting. At that point, the absorption will stop, and there will no longer be any danger. And Babata, I have a feeling that when I absorb the 100th crystal, a miracle will happen. Black-clothed Luo Feng's eyes had a hint of anticipation. Let's begin. Schwa. Within the ship, only a core was left. At this point, black-clothed Luo Feng had entered his internal world. Internal world. The golden horned beast which was like a black mountain range slowly got up. Beside it, the black-clothed Luo Feng suddenly appeared. Who? A heavenly pillar-like right claw was extended and placed before Luo Feng. Number 76. Black-clothed Luo Feng took out a triangular blood-red crystal and placed it on the scaled palm. It used its claw to slice through and the absorption began. Ah! Black-clothed Luo Feng gripped his fists and gritted his teeth. He stood there and trembled slightly. Howl! The golden horned beast rushed into the sky in pain. The 2 huge cloud-like scaled wings flapped madly, dancing about in the vast metal continent. It occasionally crashed into metal mountains, venting out as it suffered intense pain. After this went on for a while, it finally stopped. Whew. Still okay, it felt a bit better than absorbing 30 consecutively before. Looks like my willpower has been trained and developed more. Black-clothed Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief and released his grip. In truth it was a mix of black and gold. Only this right claw was completely pale gold, and it held within endless power. And on this right claw was an incomparably beautiful engraving. Its complexity, compared to the entire body's gold engravings, it didn't have too much of a difference. However, even normal people, they would still feel that the complexity and overall look of this blood-red engraving was somewhat lacking. It had yet to be completed. Looking at how complete this engraving is, I feel that only after absorbing the 100th will it be complete. Black-clothed Luo Feng stared at the blood-red engraving on the right claw. After absorbing 3 crystals, the blood-red engraving was simple, yet complete. After the 10th, it was a lot more complex, once again forming a complete picture. And right now after 76 crystals. On to the 77th. Black-clothed Luo Feng placed another crystal into the right palm. 78, 79, 80. The further he got, the change in the right claw caused such pain that it made the golden horned beast feel like it was dying. However, in its bones was a powerful and solid rock-like willpower, allowing Luo Feng to bear with it over and over. Pain. Intense pain. 86, 87, 88. Ancient God ruins, training room of the huge pit quarters. Kuchi, kuchi, pa. 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 Spit. Luo Feng spit fiercely. 2 broken teeth flew out of his mouth. Damn. Pain. So much pain. Luo Feng's entire body was trembling. Sweat flowed out from the seams of the armor, and his skin felt like almost as though it had been steamed. That intense pain that boiled down to even his soul had affected his entire body. Who? Luo Feng violently lay on the ground. His entire being almost paralyzed, breathing and gasping hard, breath after breath. My God, I finally made it. I feel like I've died over tens of thousands of times. With the virtual universe 100% simulation, the pain too can be simulated. However, the pain of death isn't even a fraction of this pain. Luo Feng was completely sprawled on the floor. His earth body alone was in such pain, and as the primary body of the right claw absorption, just how much pain did the golden horned beast have to endure? One had to know that this level of pain entered into its soul via the golden horned beast's body. The pain the golden horned beast felt was the most intense. This is only the 90th, how will I continue? Luo Feng couldn't imagine. The pain he endured before was already the most terrifying pain he had ever endured in his entire life. So much so that his consciousness was about to crumble, almost triggering his auto-defense mechanisms. Fainting was a form of natural self-preservation. However, Luo Feng was very clear about the fact that the moment he fainted, it would mean the failure of the absorption of the crystal. More than 1 trillion km away in space, within the automaton control room, the crystal core was floating and revolving. Internal world. 91st. Black-clothed Luo Feng took a deep breath and placed another crystal in the palm of the golden horned beast's right claw. The huge beast, which was larger than even rivers, looked down at the crystal with its dark golden eyes. There was a sense of fear in them. It was simply too painful. Chi. After slashing a wound, fresh blood seeped out and the absorption of the 91st crystal began. Kill. Kill, kill. Maybe even stronger than that. My heart is like a mirror, don't think of affecting me, get out. Luo Feng's willpower raged, madly defending time and again against the effects. He was finally able to get the killing aura willpower to back off. I've finally made it past the killing aura willpower. Actually at this point, it wasn't simply just the pain from evolving the right claw that was unbearable, even the killing aura willpower. That alone was very hard for Luo Feng to fight and defend against. However, defending against the killing aura willpower compared to the pain of evolution was different. Against the killing aura willpower, defending was simply defending. Hence, the failure was simply a failure. No pain, no consequence. However, that pain continued on, wave after wave, until the entire right claw had evolved. Only then would the terrifying pain cease. Damn, it's here again. Black-clothed Luo Feng's body was trembling. He was kneeling on the ground, with his hands on the metal ground, gritting his teeth hard. Howl. The golden-horned beast madly howled to vent. The 91st was like wave after wave of killer nightmares, it finally got past it. 92nd. If one wished to succeed, he had to be hard on himself. Finally, the terrifying willpower backed off. However, what followed closely was the even more terrifying intense pain. Why do I feel? Black-clothed Luo Feng picked up the 93rd crystal and said softly, that it would be extremely hard to reach the 100th crystal. Continue. When the 93rd crystal made contact with the wound in its right palm, an even more intense torrent of killing aura willpower rushed against Luo Feng's willpower. It was vast and endless, every wave was stronger than before. Luo Feng barely defended against it wave after wave. Rumble. Luo Feng felt his consciousness drift, after which, the three bodies all fainted. The killing aura willpower had broken past his defense, swiftly returning back into the crystal. Absorption of the 93rd Blood River crystal was a failure. While in a daze, the killing aura willpower finally backed out, and Luo Feng quickly regained his consciousness. I failed, I actually failed. Black-clothed Luo Feng frowned. I knew that getting to the 100th would be extremely difficult, but I didn't expect to fail at the 93rd. That killing aura willpower was simply too powerful, and the pain was so intense. All of this shows one thing, my willpower is still not strong enough. Luo Feng was extremely wrong. Willpower not strong enough. Even an absolute genius of 1,000,000,000 years from the undying shrine, blood god Baki, who could become undying in a short time if he wanted to, his willpower paled in comparison to Luo Feng's. Many sector lord pinnacles were far behind him as well. Hence, in terms of willpower, Luo Feng was indeed very strong. The true reason was 93 Blood River crystals would have an ever-increasing killing aura willpower. It was absurdly insane. The right claw cannot absorb anymore. But, what about the other parts of the golden horned beast? The golden horned beast grabbed the crystal, placing it in its left claw, slashing through the scales, fresh blood seeped out. Rumble. The formless energy rushed into its body, simultaneously gathering the rest of the killing aura willpower from before within and swiftly coursed through. The energy clashed immediately into Luo Feng's willpower within the golden horned beast. Rumble. How can this be? It actually melded with the willpower from before to be even stronger. Luo Feng was shocked. Kill. Kill. The mad killing aura willpower once again rushed in. Luo Feng fought hard against it, condensing his willpower like a stone, struggling to defend against it. However, even though it was rock solid, under the rush of the endless aura, it was still reduced to ashes. Once again he lost consciousness. That formless energy returned into the crystal and Luo Feng regained consciousness. Within the control room of the automaton ship, the crystal ball was revolving. On its surface gold engravings glimmered with gold light. Suddenly in place of the crystal, black-clothed Luo Feng appeared. I actually failed. Black-clothed Luo Feng sat in the sofa and looked ahead into the vast space. How did it go, Luo Feng? Beside, the energy image of the demon, Babata asked. Black-clothed Luo Feng explained what happened during the process. Ah, that's expected. There probably hasn't been anything in the history of Blood River continent about absorbing 93 crystals. Even the highest level 4 Chi Nyo beast only managed a little over 10. Demon Babata smiled. Luo Feng, don't worry too much. As your willpower gets stronger, you'll be able to absorb them in the future. I don't care about this. Luo Feng frowned. The only thing is the rest of the golden horned beast is unable to absorb the crystals. It's because you are unable to withstand the kill aura willpower. Demon Babata too sat on the sofa beside him, crossing his legs and looking at the vast space ahead. The energy within the crystal is capable of altering one's body, its range is limited. However, the killing aura willpower is different. It's a willpower that is able to spread to any part of the entire body. When you wanted to let its left claw absorb the crystal, that willpower would directly connect throughout its body and attack you. Black-clothed Luo Feng nodded. He understood the theory. Every absorption had an increase in the killing aura willpower. Even if used at different parts of the body, the willpower would still increase. Luckily, all the Blood River crystals I had before, I decided to place all of them in the right claw. Luo Feng thought. The golden horned beast's right claw was now his trump card, since it was extremely terrifying. If he had dispersed the crystals all over the body from the start, then every body part would have been altered about 7 or 8 times. However, that way, the amount of power raised was limited. It was better to simply make one very terrifying right claw. I cannot be too greedy, as this has already been such a windfall for me. Since I am still constantly training my willpower, I believe there will be a day I can absorb the 100th crystal. I have a feeling that once I absorb that 100th crystal, the incomparably complex blood red engraving will be perfected by then. It should have some special properties as well by then. Luo Feng thought. Continue. 3 great bodies, and all of them are training in their own ways. Luo Feng quickly recollected his thoughts. However, these crystals were unique only to Blood River World, as it was a special product of this Blood River World. And even though there were plenty of it in this world, almost all the domain lords had most of them. Some universe-level elites had a few of them too, however, they were still extremely valuable. Since I can, I will get as many as possible. These Blood River crystals should be worth a lot. Masha Luo Feng continued on his hunting trip. Of course, he spent most of his time rushing around to find these crystals, and the true hunting time itself was very short. Hence, other than hunting, the Masha Luo Feng would be in the automaton ship in the internal world, studying and training in the floating blood manual, time-space scribbles and studying the 9-universe tablet, the drizzle picture. The golden horned beast was training tearing sky and land with the 3 ancient pictures. The power of the right claw was shocking, hence it was training with the 3 ancient pictures. Luo Feng emphasized on the 3 pictures. The first was the beast's flight, waving its tail and dispersing the huge hand in the sky. The second was it lowering its head and looking ahead, piercing forward while flying. The third was it waving its claws, attacking brutally. The golden horned beast's right claw was originally very strong. After combined with this attack, and its studying tearing sky and land, 80% of its attention was spent to study the first claw of tearing sky. Luo Feng had long prepared to use this first claw technique as his true killing technique. Since the right claw was extremely strong, naturally he had to focus on claw attacks. strong combinations, that meant more power. The first claw of tearing sky, the golden horned beast began its tedious and mad training. It was studying the techniques left behind by its ancestors, and searching for the grace of that ancient beast's claw technique, while constantly increasing the strength of tearing sky's first claw. The Earth body would frequent the undying lessons, occasionally studying gold and space combination, simultaneously spending long periods of time in the killing aura to alter his body. Of course, all three bodies were in training. The golden horned beast would occasionally try to absorb the blood river crystal, so that it could feel the rush of the killing aura willpower and withstanding it to train itself further. The Masha was training via slaughter. Studying the origin laws, wonders, training his mind and heart. In the long passages of time, Luo Feng constantly improved himself. In a flash, 30 years had gone by. In the vast Blood River continent, in a particular territory city leader's mansion, it was daytime. "You actually dare attack me, you must be looking to die." A fierce roar like the rage of a god resounded throughout the skies of the city. A black silhouette rushed into the skies straight into the cloud levels. It was the black-clothed Luo Feng. Damn, there actually was a sector lord here. Black-clothed Luo Feng's speed was shocking. "You dare to attack me and wish to flee." The voice rumbled straight into his ears, simultaneously a formless world energy pressure immediately poured over. So. A white pyramid appeared before Luo Feng and he flew straight in. The golden-robed middle-aged man stood at the 18th level and looked up through the clouds, not daring to follow. "It's actually an outsider." The man's face was perplexed. "I have to inform the Undying Shrine, another outsider has descended into our Blood River continent." The automaton ship was in space. Control room. That was too risky. Black-clothed Luo Feng sat in a sofa and let out a sigh of relief. "I didn't expect a sector lord to be hiding in the city. Since he didn't release his energy at all and I had no way to detect him, however his movement and use of the universe space made me feel his presence. Lucky I fled quickly." The Masha clansman could unleash over 10,000 images, making his instantaneous speed terrifying. This was even faster than many sector lords. Fast, but this speed was mostly used just at the start for a quick burst. The moment a sector lord's speed truly took off, he would quickly catch up. Hence he used that outburst to create some distance and after which enter the automaton ship to escape. Walking along the river for so long, how can one's shoes not get wet? Luo Feng softly muttered. After this incident, that sector lord would definitely inform the Undying Shrine. The shrine would probably begin to discover small patterns and traces, maybe even my entire plan. Anyway, I've acquired enough over these 30 years, it's time to stop. During these 30 years, Masha Luo Feng's hunt had given him a total of 9,816 Blood River crystals. Luo Feng felt. It was savage enough, it was time to stop. Virtual Universe, Black Dragon Mountain Island, close to the river by 9-Star Bay, 3 people sat there. A tall and sturdy youth with short hair was dressed in casual clothing, yet his energy felt like a pike ready to pierce forward at any time. On his left was a clean white-robed bald youth who was smiling. His smile was so pure, it made one's soul get drawn in. Beside these two sat a skinnier youth. His killing aura was heavy, his entire being seemed to have been drenched in a bloody river of cold massacre. That aura was terrifying. 30, your mental state is really hitting the limit. The bald youth shook his head and smiled. Second brother, in terms of mental state, I cannot compare to you. I cannot break through for now. The only thing I can do is push my limits, that way at least I'll improve. Luo Feng smiled. He could feel it himself. In reality, as he was spending long periods of time in the ancient god ruins of Blood River world, he was influenced for tens of years by the killing aura. Pushing your limits is after all still a small path. Thunder God shook his head. Second brother. Hong sat and smiled, you don't have to force third brother. In terms of mental state training, he's also exceptional. To be able to train his mental state to such a level, where he is not affected by dust or poison is great. Absolute purity, absolute rejection, and absolute coagulation, this form of absoluteness is also a growth in mental state. Thunder God was shocked, nodding, he asked curiously, Big brother, but this is still after all. Hong looked at Luo Feng, third brother. Big brother. Luo Feng smiled at Hong. Your second brother and I have been giving you many pointers on mental training. However, this is different from other training. It's a form of release in spirit. Hong looked at Luo Feng. Many mysteries before may have been explained, today I'll depict it for you from the highest levels. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Heart. What is heart? Mental state, just what is that? Hong smiled. From a warrior's training point of view, the heart is actually willpower. Your willpower strength is already exceptional. Hong said. However, overall, from an overall look, you are still only on the first level of the three great mental states. First level. Luo Feng was shocked, three great mental states. This is my summary. Hong smiled, in our Chinese ancient culture, we've always emphasized on the training of one's mental state. There are all sorts of tests for the heart, by training in them, these will all be directed at one's heart, and will be able to see one's heart clearly. The body is the wisdom tree. Your heart is the stand of the bright mirror. You must frequently wipe it. Don't let it become dusty. It actually refers to looking at oneself and understanding. Luo Feng frowned. Right now, your heart is like a mirror, not affected by dust. Your heart is like a blade, slicing through obstacles. It's already considered having seen yourself and understood it, reaching a very high level. Hong exclaimed. Now, you continue to train your heart, making your willpower stronger. However, no matter how much you train, you are still only on the first level. What's the second level? Luo Feng asked. Simply put, man and nature as one. Hong pointed at Thunder God beside, your second brother is considered to be at the second level. What's man and nature as one? Luo Feng asked. Man and nature as one refers to the perfect mental state. Hong smiled, what do I mean by perfect? When one's yin and yang are fully melded and are complementing each other. As for how? Your current path, chasing limits, that's simply pushing it. Simply pushing your limits may strengthen yourself. However, only when the yin and yang are working together will it be perfect. Just like a man in this world, when he feels harmony, he'll be sturdy and flexible depending on whichever the situation requires. This mental state is as such too. When it's time to be like a blade, or when it's time to train. And when it's time to be gentle like water, the water always flows around the blade. In terms of defense, the water is even more solid than a shield, hence it's more powerful. Hong smiled. The harmony of yin and yang, man and nature, mental state harmony. Of course, this is a very high level of perfection, and is that of a pure and innocent heart. In theory, it's already the pinnacle. Your brother is as such. Luo Feng held his breath as he listened, asking, heart like a blade, I understand. But how do I make my heart like water? I'll explain the theory, but the state itself is hard to explain. Hong smiled and shook his head. Thunder God beside him smiled, the third level, your big brother has begun to barely perceive it. The third. Hong said softly, is what I've just begun to touch. Heart is void and vast, heart is endless. Heart, encompassing everything. What do you mean? Luo Feng asked. It's hard to explain. Hong smiled. How about this? If the second is the harmony of yin and yang, man and nature as one, melding perfectly with everything around. Then the 3rd is the heart being endless and vast, encompassing everything, including the endless universe, everything. Anything with a will can be encompassed, whether it's slaughter, material wealth and goals, appreciation of beauty, lust for power, everything. Luo Feng was shocked. Everything could be encompassed. If one can achieve this state, even facing against an incredibly powerful opponent, life form, all willpower, cannot affect me. Hong smiled. Damn, that's sick. Luo Feng stared. Luo Feng looked at Hong, filled with even more admiration. 3 great mental states. First level, seeing through and understanding yourself. In many Buddhist teachings and paths, this was already progress. The second level, man and nature as one, heart of pureness. This was in theory the pinnacle. Third level, heart vast and endless, encompassing everything. This was unbelievable. Big brother, how do you reach this third level? Luo Feng couldn't help but ask. The second state, I can barely touch it, however I can't fully comprehend it. Mental state training all relied on the heart. Luo Feng's understanding of his self had reached a limit. Indeed, he only had a small understanding of the harmony between yin and yang. It's hard to explain, I've only managed to get some ideas from looking at some books. Hong smiled, there's a saying, emptiness is the strongest. Another one also says that only when one doesn't contest will he be able to contest everything. Actually, I've studied many theories from the ancient Chinese culture. These 2 sayings are considered to have sparked my reaching of this level. Emptiness is the strongest. Only when one doesn't contest will he be able to contest everything. Luo Feng frowned. The logic is simple and I understand it. But what you mean is... Luo Feng nodded, suddenly he felt something stir within, Masha clansman is here. The Masha clansman sat in the automaton ship. It had been flying close to light speed in the space above Blood River World for a few months already, and finally arrived. Blood River cloud levels, a faint silhouette immediately passed through 1,000 kilometers and landed beside the huge pit quarters, with a flash it went in. Huge pit quarters. Luo Feng, who was dressed in the bronze armor, got up on his hind legs. Looking at the entrance of the cave, a black silhouette appeared, it was Masha Luo Feng. 10 Blood River crystals. Masha Luo Feng casually placed the 10 crystals and left again, passing through the 18 cloud levels and into the automaton ship which was floating in the space above. For safety reasons, he let the Masha body take the internal core into space, at least it was very safe. Within the huge pit quarters. I finally have Blood River crystals. Luo Feng collected the 10 crystals and revealed a helpless smile. The last time I let the golden horned beast absorb everything until there was none left for my earth body. 30 years. A total of 30 years had passed, during which he was constantly absorbing the killing aura and changing his body, yet he hadn't tried absorbing the crystals. Let's try and see if I can absorb the third one. Luo Feng took out a crystal. It had been long since he absorbed the 2 and, 30 years later, now he was trying the third. Chi. He cut his palm and placed the crystal on the wood, the killing aura willpower clashed against his willpower. Compared to the golden horned beast's absorption, this little willpower is simply pathetic. Luo Feng couldn't help but exclaim, following which he felt intense pain. His body began to evolve, however, compared to the successful absorption of the 91st and 92nd crystals, this third one couldn't be considered anything. The blood energy continued to pour through his body. The blood river crystal became more and more transparent. Pa! The sound of bones breaking occurred from his chest. I actually failed. Luo Feng looked at the close to transparent blood river crystal. Large amounts of blood energy was returning back, making it revert to its original state. He was helpless. Indeed, the more I absorb, the harder it gets. I only stayed in the ancient god ruins for 2 years before, and I managed to absorb the second. However, now after 30 years, I am still unable to absorb the third. Luo Feng shook his head. The golden horned beast's body, looks like the body structure and composition is indeed much more perfect than a human body, at least in certain aspects, it's much superior.